So today is 17th of January 2023, and what better time to have this video or to make this content than today that the kids are in school. Daycare, really. It is like the most amazing thing. The whole house is quiet and I have the time to make this video, and I'm so happy to bring you guys this beautiful content. Okay, so if you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? The channel is growing. Be part of this amazing family. So please pause this video right now, hit the subscribe button and come back, and we'll wait for you guys. We'll wait for you. Thank you so much. Go now.
Right there on top of the moon, you can sit and do.
All right guys, welcome back. So let me break it down for you. Right, we have done all the pre-arrival stuff. Right now I'm going to take you guys on another journey of the first things immigrants should do when they get here. So there are a number of things. I have my notes here with me, so I might be looking down so I don't miss out on any of the good stuff I'll be bringing your way today. Guys, if you're one of those persons that sincerely want to come to Canada, these are the things you should be looking out for. These are the kind of videos you should really be interested in. To be honest with you, it's part of research. So I've mentioned previously that you need, if you want to come this way, you need to seriously, research and be prepared for what is to come. It's never too much information. So watch my videos, watch other immigration and relocation videos, watch everything, guys. You will learn something. Today we'll be talking about daycare, right? Okay, so I have an entire page of what I want to discuss with you because this is a very important thing. First things first, if you have kids and you intend to work, I think that's the best place to start. If you have kids and you intend to work, and when I mean kids that are not yet of school age, say from 0 to 5 years of age, yes, they can stay at the daycare, right? So if you know you have kids within this age bracket and you intend to work, maybe full-time, maybe part-time, maybe even if you intend to work from home, you would need daycare facilities. And guess what? It doesn't come easy. So you know how if you're in Nigeria, for instance, you just walk up to any daycare and you say, hello, I need to put my kids here, and you most likely will get a space for your kid. It is not that easy here, and that was a shocker for me. So when we got here in September of 2022, we did not actively start looking for a daycare because I think we made some contacts here and there in the first week that we got here, but we're not so, we're at home, fair enough. So it was not an urgent need at the time. So we thought, okay, we've not gotten jobs, the kids can as well be at home with us, right? So that was our thinking. Even though we had made contact with 1 or 2 daycares, we had this at the back of our mind that we're at home, there's no rush, these kids can be here with us, blah, blah, blah. And when eventually we got our jobs, which was almost like at the same time, it became a struggle where to keep these kids because, okay, like you may not know, my kids are, my first is 5 and my second child is 3. So I have Ryan is 5 years old and Ruby is 3 years old. So ideally, at the time we started looking for a daycare, Ryan was not yet 5, so he was about 4-ish, and so he still had to be at the daycare, right, or preschool. Today's topic is not about preschool. I'll just focus on daycare. So what happened when we got in, we started making contact, and I think the first 2 contacts we made, they said, oh, okay, they'll put us on a list. One of them outrightly told us there was no space till like January of 2023, and we're like, oh, okay, that's put us on the list, right? And then we got to know that with daycare there's a waiting list, okay, which we did not first avert our minds to. So we thought, okay, when we're about to resume, we'll just go to a daycare and we'll register and put the kids. But apparently daycares always come with a waiting list. So whenever I make a call and I say, oh, they'll tell me, oh, there's no space, we'll put you on our waiting list. I was like, what is this waiting list about? And then we found out that usually they have a waiting list. If the daycare is full, they have a waiting list. If somebody leaves or somebody goes to the regular elementary school, then there might be a space for somebody else, and then they will call you up and say, are you still interested? Please come in. So we had our names on like several, up to 10 different daycares, and nobody was reaching out. So one day I reached out to one of the moms group, a Nigerian moms group I'm a part of here in Canada, and I asked, what is happening? What am I doing wrongly? Because it looks like I'm not getting daycare for these kids, and my husband and I are about to start our regular jobs. Where do we keep them? I mean, there's no auntie, no uncle to go and drop your kids with. Guys, so I'm just giving you a background story before I start giving you what you should do, right? Luckily for me, somebody advised on the group that, you know what, look for, and because with daycare you need to look for the ones within your region, like your neighborhood. It's important, the ones within your neighborhood might also be filled up if you live in a residential area. I mean, people have kids, they'll go to daycare, right? So the lady asked me to compile a list of like 10 daycares within my neighborhood, and then actively place calls to them. So I went online and I started looking for daycares. I was, you know, sifting them out based on the ones closest to me, and I was able to get, I think, 9 or 10 names. That morning, I can't forget, I think it was a Monday morning, I sat down and I started calling them. I was calling one after the other. Some would say, oh, are you entitled to subsidy and grants and all of those things? If I say yes, they say, oh, their own daycare don't take subsidy and grants, so you have to pay upfront, so if in full. So if the daycare fee is, say, 1,200 Canadian dollars per month, that is what you get to pay. I was not willing to pay that because I wanted, I'm entitled to that discount or subsidy that the government gives. So why would I want to pay out of pocket for the daycare? So that was an issue for us also. And then some of them also, they were weekly. Some actually told us there was no space, and you know, it was back and forth. Some did not pick up. And the next action I did was to send mails. So I was sending cold mails. I was saying, oh, I have a son and a daughter, they are aged this and this, male and female, please, do you have space for them in your facility? We're ready to start immediately. All the many grammar. And luckily for us, one daycare reached out, and you know, we're able to book an appointment, went to see the place. Truth be told, it was beyond our budget, so it was higher than our budget, but because we had to start work and we needed where to put the kids, we did not have that luxury to start looking for, so we enrolled them there. Nice daycare, pretty new, but then it was above our budget, and when we were not about that life, but we had to you know, increase our budget just to accommodate that. And yeah, that's the daycare they have been in, and the kids love it there. So that is my background story, right? So right now, there are a lot of errors we made on this journey that I would want to highlight in this video. So please stay with me, okay? Have you subscribed? Guys, have you subscribed? Oh yeah, go and subscribe. Before you continue, pause and go and subscribe. All right, guys. So, yeah, so welcome back. So firstly, a lot of people will ask, when do I start to look for a daycare? So a daycare is like like you have your regular daycares in Nigeria. They take care of the kids. They, you know, they have activities within the day. They teach them 1 or 2, you know, basic things and life, like all the regular things for their age, that is age appropriate. They, you know, they teach them. So the next question is, okay, I am new in the city. Where do I start from? Great. Like I mentioned, if you have kids and you know so that's what, those are the things you have to consider. You have kids, they are of the age of 0 to say 5 years old, and you know that you have to work or your spouse has to work and there'll be nobody to take care of them, then you should consider daycare immediately, guys. Do not wait. Don't wait till you are ready. So don't wait till you've gotten a job before you start looking for a daycare, because that's going to put pressure on you and on the decisions you will make around that time. You're most likely going to make poor decisions because you did not do the right thing at the right time. So do not wait for the last minute to do the right thing. Immediately you get into the town, if you have gotten all your initial things you should get, that's another video. I'll link it somewhere here. Please go and watch it. If you've gotten all the first initial things you should get, your SIN, your health card, your phone numbers and all of those many things, if you've done all of those things, the next thing that should be on your mind while you are job hunting is to immediately start considering what daycare you want your child to go to. Like I said in another video, if you've not watched it, please go and watch it, about rental properties. You should, when considering renting in Canada, you should consider the closeness to your daycare, right? So you should, when you get in and you're able to collate all the list of daycares that are, say, within a radius, I don't know kilometer wise, but I would use, drive wise. So if you're driving a car, say at most 5 minutes from your house to the daycare, there's going to be a quick drop off and pick up, right? Yes, it's going to be like easy breezy, something easy for you. Please consider doing it immediately. Do not waste another second, okay? If you're not driving, it's a bus. If you're using a bus, then it's a one bus drop off at the school or pick up. So it's a one bus. You don't want to be doing 2 or 3 buses with kids or with one. It's a lot of work. I trust me. I can go on and on this. It's a lot of work. If it's with driving, well, that makes it easier, but it should also be within your neighborhood and say 5 minutes max from where you live. Okay, that should be the closest daycare. I've gotten really good, fantastic daycare. Some are even so as relatively new, like maybe in Ryan's own class, they may likely be less than 10 or 5, but they are far. I will go and look at it because I just want to see and measure it with what we have. They are all far, really far from where we stay, so we could not consider them. The prices were even so good, like within budget, but still we could not consider because they were pretty far. Okay, so that's something else you should be conscious and look out for. Another thing to consider is I've mentioned neighborhood. So you have an opportunity to consider between, do you want it to be close to your house or close to your work area? I think that's something, if you get your job before you get daycare, you can consider, because sometimes it's easier to just, when you're going to work, go with the kids, drop them off at the daycare close to your workplace. When you close from work, you just pick them up and you're coming back home. It looks easier. So some people prefer a daycare close to their work area, so that in case they want to go and check on them during the day, you can do that easily, right? But then again, another good option would be somewhere close to your house, which is easy. So for days when you're not working, so if you're on leave, you don't have to start going back to your work area to go and pick your child. So it's easy. Even when you stay, when it's in your neighborhood, if you close from work, you also pick them up before you go back home. So it makes the journey easy, right? So I would prefer closeness to your house, like where you live, rather than closeness to your workplace. Okay. All right. So moving on, the budget. Budget in this case is relative, and aside from your personal preferences, it will also depend on the province, the city. I guess that's what's called, yeah. The province, the city, what else? Sorry, I have my book here, so I'm still looking at it. The province, the city, the newness of the daycare. If it's a new daycare, you're most likely going to get a cheaper rate because some of them want to, get customers, right? So that might also be relatively cheap. And then if you are also entitled to government subsidy as well as the grants, then it also reduces what your budget would be like. So I cannot tell you, oh, your budget should be 1,000 Canadian dollars of this. You also have to explore. So check like 3-4 daycares within the area. You'll be able to know what the range is for your province and for your area, right? In our province, I think it ranges between 1,000 Canadian dollars and 1,315 every month. That's the entire amount. Then if you remove subsidy and co, you should be left with, say, 500, 800-ish to 300, 400. It just depends on the daycare. I've seen all sorts, above our budget, within our budget, below our budget, but still, fantastic daycare. So that should be your consideration for budget. It is not something I can say that this is the amount, because we have viewers that do not stay in Alberta or do not stay in Edmonton. So, just shop around and see what is the average, and then you'll be able to know how much it will cost. I believe some provinces are even more expensive than others. I hear that some are even more cheaper than we have here in Edmonton, and I'm like, guys, take me. But that's not happening, right? So yeah, you win some, you lose some. So shop around and just be sure that these are the things that, if you are lucky enough to get a daycare that is really close to your house and is relatively new, you most likely will get a good rate, because they are trying to, you know, get more customers. I think 2 of the daycares that were relatively new around us had pretty, not around us, that were relatively new, but they were far off, had pretty good rates. But I mean, they were far off, so we could not take them. Yes. Okay, so other things that you would consider would be pick up and drop off time. That is equally very important, so please be taking notes. You need to know when they resume and when they close. That should be something you should consider before agreeing to take your child there, because some of them, you know, it has to fit into your own work schedule. So if you already know how your work is going to be, say you work an 8 to 5, or you work 9 to 5, or you know, all those kind of jobs, then it means that your daycare should be able to accommodate the children for that time. So for instance, myself, I work from home, quite all right, yes, but I'll still be in work when the daycare would have closed, and that means I would not be able to pick up the kids. So my husband has to do the extra work of leaving his own office, taking his break later, leaving his office and going to pick the kids and bringing them to the house since I'm at home, right? And then he goes back to the office. It's a lot, trust me. It is not as easy as I'm saying. It looks like zoom, but it is a lot, but we make it work somehow. So you also have to consider, most of the daycares around do say 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Some do within. Our own daycare, I think, is 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and that's a long stretch, to be honest. And yeah, if you're doing a regular job, say you're working during the day, I mean, your work, no work resumes at that time, right? So, or most jobs don't resume at that time, so you most likely resume like 8, 9, and then you can do your drop off, and then if you close say 5, you also have 1 hour to get back home and pick the kids. So that's why most times you see people here, nobody's doing after work drinks or all of those things, because they are rushing to the daycare to pick the child. That leads me to my next point, because if you come late to pick the child, you also have to pay a fee. So you need to ensure you read through all the tiny prints on your what's it called now, application form, or is it the school's profile, all of those documents they give to you. Ensure you're reading the tiny prints. There are a lot of laws, there are a lot of rules, there are a lot of things you'll be signing on. So if you know you are not interested, or if it doesn't work well with you, just gently bow out and go elsewhere. In my children's daycare, if you are a minute late, they close at 6 p.m. and if you are a minute late, you pay $1. If you are 60 minutes late, which is 1 hour, you pay $60. If you are 2 hours late, $120. And I'm sure they are going to even report to you. So you don't even want that drama in your life. God's willing, we have not had to go late to go pick up the kids from school, right? So we try to do it really early and pick them up and zoom, we're back home, because we don't even want to pay the money, right? Imagine what you use that money to do in your life. You don't want to just waste it, and then keeping the kids for that long is too much, right? Also, you have to consider what the kind of benefits that comes with the daycare, in terms of what they do, extracurricular activities, what they do in class, what kind of games do they play, and all of those things. Then you also have to consider feeding, right? So feeding is also, I mean, they're staying in, if they're going to stay from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., that's roughly 12 hours of the day. Of course, they need to be fed. And so some daycares come with the feeding is in the fees you'll be paying. So if you're paying 500 Canadian dollar per child, they can tell you that feeding is inclusive. Usually they'll give them breakfast, they'll give them lunch, and they'll give them a snack later in the evening. So all of these 3 meals is included in your fee. For some daycares, it is not included, so you have to pay separately. Our daycare, it is not included. So we pay their fees separately, and then we pay an extra amount for their feeding. times 2 because there are 2 kids, so you can imagine how much all of that sum up to. I cannot say how much it will be for your daycare, so you have to ask questions. Ask them if that amount is included, if the fee is inclusive of feeding, and if they say no, then ask them how much the feeding costs. That reminds me, your application form that you'll be filling is also you pay for an application fee. I think it's a one-off fee, so it ranges from say $50 to $75. So I've seen different amounts, different. So also be aware that you pay application fee for each of the child, but that is one-off. For feeding, it is also monthly. So if the feeding is not included in their fees, then it means every month you have to cough out an extra, say $50 per child or $100 per child for feeding for them. Some of these daycare also say they feed them, you don't have to bring anything for them. But some of the daycares are considerate to say, okay, we understand that palettes are different, these kids are used to different things, and most of the people here are immigrants, right? So what they are used to, where they come from, is different from what the real Canadians are used to. So they can say, okay, you can bring them meal. That would also depend on how easy it is for you to prepare those meals in the morning and give it to them to take to school in time. Okay, speaking of in time, in my kids daycare, I don't know about any other one, if by 10 a.m. you have not brought the child, you can as well not bring that child to school that day. Sorry, I'll be interchanging school and daycare. It means the same thing, at least for the purpose of this video. Okay, so in my head I'm like, why is that? So they say if you want to bring the child after 10, so you have to inform them earlier in the day that, oh, Ryan and Ruby will be running late. They have to, maybe they have doctor's appointments, or they need to go for one appointment or the other, and you have to pre-inform them. But if you just randomly wake up and just say your kids are not you want to bring them in late, anything after 10 a.m. don't bring them to school anymore for that day. So guys, that's why I said read all the fine print and know what you are getting yourself into. Other things you will consider is what you need to bring for the kid to school. Okay, so this will vary, or this would depend on the school once more. So for my kids' school, they require that you bring a water bottle for each child, and the water bottle stays in the school, I think, till the end of the week or something. Then they give you to wash and bring back, but they also wash it in school every evening and the next morning. So the water bottle stays in school majorly. Then you're also to bring another pair of shoes. So aside the shoe the kid will be wearing to the school, you would have an indoor shoe which would always be in the school to the end of the term or to the end of the session, however it is, till they are vacating or something, and they give it back to you, but it stays in school. So when you come in the morning, you take off the outdoor shoe. They always have those cases where they keep them. If I have a picture, I'm going to put it here. And then you put the outdoor shoe there, and you take out the indoor shoe and you wear for the kid. The indoor shoe is what they wear indoors. When they are leaving again at the end of the day, when they are going back home, you also need to take out that shoe and put and wear them the outdoor shoe back home. You must do that every morning and evening. Okay, the reason is, of course, because of the outdoor shoe, their legs go to different places, but the indoor shoe is just for them inside. And even when you as a parent come to pick up the child at the end of the day, you have to take off your shoes and go in. They don't want your outdoor germs to come and disturb their children, which is pretty cool. I consider that really nice. And then you have to bring extra clothes. So for Ryan and Ruby, I have extra clothes in their bag. Ryan never gets to use those clothes. Every time I go back there, the clothes are there. If your kids are still changing diapers, you might consider carrying diapers, wipes, and all those change of clothes that they will need. You also need to consider getting them gloves, okay, hoodies, hats, however you may call them, caps. Just get them so that they can cover their ears. And then you can also get them snow pants and snow boots. We recently just got snow pants and snow boots for Ryan and Ruby. They usually would take them out even during winter, guys, in this cold, which I'm like, how? But they said it's you know, they get to play, they cannot leave them indoors always. And you even sign off on that too. At the beginning of your registration, you sign off on, oh, we'll be taking the kids out in the snow. We'll also be taking them out to parks and to something. So sign off on permission to carry your kids. You will sign off now. you'll sign off. But if you do not want, like recently Ruby has been battling serious cough and catarrh. We've told them in school that please, this period, don't take her out, however attractive that might look. Please, just, she's dealing with so much, and I believe that it's some of this outing that has really impacted her, because when they come back home, I'm always decking them with sweaters and trousers and socks and all of those things to keep them warm. Their room is, the windows are always closed, and you know, they are pretty cool in the room, but somehow she still got the flu. So I've pleaded with the school to please, you know, let her be. Okay, so you, like I mentioned, you would need to get them snow pants and snow boots. You also need to get them blankets. So usually they take naps in the early afternoon, say 12 to 2 or thereabout. They have different times for different classes, so you need to get them blankets, because when they provide the beds for them, but then it's important you get them blankets so that they can cover them up when they are sleeping. Okay, so those are the things you need to get for your child before they resume. Everything as regards stationaries and all of that, they provide those things for them in the school. But I've mentioned for feeding, you could opt out. If there's that provision, you could opt out and say, you know what, I want to save this extra box. I would be making their food, they'll be making their meals for them, and I'll pack them up. So you save extra box, and then you are sure that your child would eat it. For us, when we came, we were conscious enough to say no, we do not want to cook home meals and take to them to school. One was because it's a new environment. We are also trying to adjust to everything. We just got new jobs. We cannot be in the morning while we're trying to dress them up and get them ready, be making food. What we do is we give them something light in the morning, cereal, noodles, bread and tea, something really light, boiled eggs and coke, all of those things that they can easily eat quickly and head out of the door, right? So we do all of those things for them, and they're good to go. But we made sure that they eat. We paid for school meal. This is like the 3rd month, just so that they're able to acclimatize. So we didn't want a situation whereby they're new to the school, you know, they're yet to make friends, and then when they come to serve people food, they will not serve them, and so that will make them even, you know, feel like, oh, I'm not part of these people. You know, they'll always feel like a stranger amongst them. That was our thinking, and we're like, no, we do not want this for these kids. So we paid for the food, and guess what? I've noticed that Ruby has started eating some kind of, you know, cereal that she normally would not eat. From Nigeria, we're eating Golden Morn, Nutribomb, and all of those, but now she wants to explore some other series that she's been trying in school. So I believe that's a great one for her. And now they've been able to mix up, have friends in the class. You know, they are part of the circle. So when they are serving everybody, they serve them too, so they know they are part of them. I didn't want a situation whereby they are new to the school, they do not have friends yet, and then when they want to serve people food, they will still not serve them, and my kids will be looking, or perhaps they will bring out, you know, something different from what everybody is eating, and they'll be like, ah, what's happening? Why am I not getting what everybody is getting? So I wanted that, and I'm happy that we did that, because the kids have really been able to, you know, assimilate into their environment. So you might consider that too, maybe for the first couple of months, just to see how that plays out. If you are also sure that they would not take the food, then perhaps you need to consider making food for them. So even though we give them that breakfast, I noticed that when they go to school and they want to give them breakfast, they'll be like, oh, I don't want, I just had something at home, and the teacher most likely will not force them. Then they'll give them lunch, and they'll give them snacks or fruits later. And yeah, when they get back home, I give them dinner. So even if they don't eat too well in school, I'm really certain that they've had 2 good meals, which would be the one they ate before they left for school, and the one they would eat when they come back later that evening. Okay, so another thing you might consider would be school bus drop off and pick up. That's something we do not have need for, but if you know that your situation permits, then you should consider schools that have school bus and that can pick up your kid and drop them off for you, you know, for some fee. Obviously nothing is free in this place. Nobody's doing you any favor, because you almost pay your money. So yeah, so you need to consider that too. And then also for the school, but if your kid is of preschool age, so I guess that's like 4 to 5, they can go to preschool, which is free, and then they can come back to the daycare. You might need a pick up and drop off services for that, so you might want to consider that. You might also want to consider schools that, excuse me, for daycare. You might want to consider schools that have some kind of agreement with the daycare your child attends. So even if they take because the preschool is usually for a short period of time during the day, I think 3 hours, I guess, or 4 hours a day. So the rest of the time they will go back to the daycare. So if your child goes to preschool in the morning, he goes to daycare in the evening. If you're not able to do that school runs, you would need a school bus to do that school runs for you. So that's something you should, you know, consider also if you want your child to go to daycare. Personally, I want it, but I have not been able to bring myself to do all the further maths that is inside. So right now, Ryan just stays back in the daycare. Okay, Ruby is not yet of preschool age. Okay, another thing which I would want to wrap up: monitoring apps and CCTV. So that's something that's important. If your school has that, good luck to you, but it's something you should consider. Ask questions. Or do you have CCTV cameras in the school? Because you want to monitor, God forbid there's an accident, you want to monitor, you want to see how that happened or what went wrong and what are the learning points from that. We don't pray for any of that, but you know, beyond monitoring, you also want, beyond monitoring for accidents, right, which we don't pray for. Another reason why you should have that is just so that you see the kind of activities that happen in the school. You see how your child is able to, you know, blend with other children. You see how the teachers also are able to handle the kids in school. You just see, literally, you are at work, but you can, during your break time, you can literally look at and see what is happening in your kids' school, and then you smile and you continue working. You're good to go. So they have monitoring apps also, different, it goes by different names. Different school or daycares use different monitoring app platforms for their school. So find out the one your daycare uses and then key in, and you know, you'll be able to see what they ate, the kind of activities they did, the pictures they took, and just general stuff like you were there with them. And yeah, you'll be able to ask questions and, you know, make suggestions as you want. It's also important to consider the environment. Look at the teachers, how friendly they are. There was a particular day my husband and I went to drop off Ryan and Ruby early that morning, and immediately Ruby saw her teacher. She just ran to hug the teacher. That was so, and Ruby, I know Ruby is friendly, right? But I also know that it must have been, you know, that kind of connection between them that would make her want to do that. Like, she just went and she went to hug the teacher, and I've heard them mention that lady's name like 2-3 times in this house. So it was beautiful to put a face to the name, and I knew that, oh, okay, they must really be getting along for them to have that kind of close bond. Okay, so look out for those kind of signs. Look out for how they treat the children, how they give them food. Look out for the environment. Go to the toilet, see how it is. You know, check the playground. Look at the toys they have around. Look at the kind of games they have. Look at the information board. I, for one, on the first day I went there, I looked at the information board. I didn't even stop there. I snapped it so that I would go back home and sit down and analyze. Look at their lunch menu, their food menu. Look at that. Just take a look. Look at their emergency exit. Just be sure that, you know, look at the environment too. You know, how clean is it? What are the, even outside, you know, look at all of those kind of things. Look at the kind of children that come to the daycare. So look for all those kind of traits. Those are what should, you know, help you to choose the best daycare for your child. I'm going to recap and tell you that the best time to start looking for a daycare is immediately you land. I know that perhaps you've not gotten that job and you do not know when you will start, but it's important that you look for a daycare and you're able to say, okay, this daycare, I'm on their wait list, I'm on this one's wait list, and hopefully just by God's grace you'll be able to get it the time you want it. Okay, don't be like us. Don't be like us. Don't be a learner like us. That's why you have me. Okay, so yeah, I hope I was able to touch on everything. If you have more questions concerning daycare facilities, anything around this topic, please leave it in the comments section. I'll be on the lookout and I will answer as much as possible. We'll also do a quick Q&A sometime. I don't know when, because my schedule is just bumped, but I know that very soon I'll have a Q&A for everything immigration that I've not touched on and that you have questions about. Please, thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe. This is the third time I'm saying it on this channel. If you have not subscribed, if you have not subscribed at this point, I'm judging you. So please go and subscribe right now. Thank you so much for watching Barbie's Diary. Thank you for all the love and support. Please leave your questions in the comment section and I'll see you in the next one. Look out for the next one, guys. And it's a wrap. It's a KK. Thank you, guys.
Right there on top of the moon, we could sit